listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I have noticed that there has been a significant pop culture reassessment. You know, those always happen, right? Something we used to hate, now we love. But I've noticed...
We seem to talk about it a lot on this show. So, yeah, we know about it.
Two I have noticed recently that might, one of them won't surprise you. One of them you probably won't care about. But first one is...
what a preface. I love it.
One, Emily Gilmore, the new memoir by Kelly Bishop, The Other Gilmore Girl, is about to come out, and she's done an awful lot. Well, she's all over my Instagram. That says something about me more than anything else, though. But I'm very excited about that. I think we've had this discussion before I remember way back in the Fictional Mother's Day episode when we discussed how Emily was probably a better mother than Lorelai. And we were on this.
I mean, I think some people felt that. I don't recall that I felt that.
I know I did. I felt that. And I feel like there has been, a reckoning. But that's a good one, an interesting one. The other one that surprises me is the band Creed. Have you noticed how many people are suddenly all... they weren't so bad, and people are playing their songs again. Has this come across your radar?
I have noticed this. I thought it was because of the Creed frontman, Scott Stapp. Mm-hmm. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Isn't he, moving into acting now? Isn't he going to be playing, Frank
Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra?
Yeah, that Reagan biopic or something. Yes, but But the band is touring, and... honestly, my algorithms should not be giving me this much Creed. I don't know. I've never expressed an interest in Creed. I will admit that if I was at a karaoke night, it might be quite fun to do Can You Take Me Higher? Because it's a very...
Okay, so there you go. You deserve to be getting Creed content. Look what you just said on record. You totally deserve all the Creed content you can get. I'm sorry.
But here's the thing. I can only get Creed content that's made. So somebody is out there making this stuff. Somebody is out there saying, we need to re-examine Creed. And I was not expecting that. I just thought they would, dissolve and die away.
No, they have been touring, I think the entire time of their, career. And there must be an anniversary coming up sometime around now or soon or whatever. But also, he also is getting divorced. So I've seen his name popping up in sort of more gossipy ways. And you also enjoy gossip. We've talked about this. So that might be sort of...
That's the two interests overlapping.
It might be tainting your algorithm that this man and his band are sort of still... They're really out there in the news in a lot of different ways now.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have gotten zero Creed content. I barely know what you're talking about. I don't even know any songs of Creed's.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, and every once in a while, if you're lucky, you get that little clip from when they played the Super Bowl. And it was long enough ago before the Super Bowl show got really glossy like it is now. So it was just kind of a wild free-for-all on the field. And so the band is playing that one song, and for some reason they just are very literal people making the Super Bowl, and so there's this flying man in those ribbons, you know what I mean, with those ribbons that they sort of go up and then they can tumble down in, they roll them. Yeah. So this man, he looks kind of like like a bird or something. He's shirtless and he's like this, and he's just flying through the air. And if you've never seen it before, it's great content. It's very short, very short clip.
Again, you're actually really answering the mystery of this as you tell us.
You're like a Creed historian, Lisa. What are you even talking about? I never even knew they played the Super Bowl at all.
What? You didn't know they played the Super Bowl?
No.
I didn't either till you just said that.
Well, they were at their time. They were a big band. I mean, they were like, I think that you could argue that over halftime shows, there are different phases, right? Because I studied this once. Well, no, I didn't study it. I read a Wikipedia page.
Well, that's the other thing, though. You also like halftime shows and football. And that's...
Yeah.
Wait, did you get a master's degree in Creed that you're like not mentioning?
This is the subtle way
that
she goes about backing up
is
into
that what
the
you wrote
parking
your
spot of her
on?
like being a Creed. Yeah.
When you can write lyrics like take me to a place where blind men see. I'm just
wow.
Right? I
mean, ableist, so awful. Oh my god. I have a quick question. Is that the band that did the song "Arms Wide Open"?
It is,
or is that a
no?
different...
That's Creed.
It is.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
You like that
right.
song?
No, I can't say that I like it. I can name one Creed song, and it is "Arms Wide Open." And I'm trying to think of like why I can name it kind of so quickly. And like I wasn't positive for sure that it was a Creed song, but like I was like, no, it sounds like it. But I just remember like, that phase when you like you're younger and you're listening to these like sort of like emo alt rock dudes and sometimes women and like sometimes like, non-binary folks or whatever. But like about 25 years ago, and you're like listening to it, and then it takes you a minute or two, and then you're like, is this a secret Christian band? Like, do you remember that phase where every band turned out was like a secret Christian band?
I think that
I remember that being like a Creed thing. And I know that they weren't like secret because like they called themselves Creed, but I just was like a little bit ignorant of religious terms, kind of very, very, very willfully, frankly, at the time. And it really like took me out that like Evanescence had sort of like a secret Christian thing, Creed a secret Christian thing. Our Lady Peace, to a certain extent, has a little bit of a sort of...
Really?
Least,
I didn't know this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know for sure that, like, I don't know that Rain identifies as Christian necessarily, but he certainly, like, plays with a lot of, like, religious imagery and iconography.
Wasn't that the rumor around the Killers, too?
Well, that's, like, less of a secret and more because, like, Brandon grew up Mormon.
Yeah. So I thought there was a bit of a...
I don't know if he's still Mormon or not.
Yeah.
But,
I just want to say, while we were talking, I thought... Just to prove my point, I would look on just Google Creed and see if in the last little while there were any stories written about them. And 1 month ago, The Guardian wrote, "On board the Creed cruise, the unfathomable return of the worst band of the 90s. And the reporter here, last month, it says, "I took a cruise with thousands of fellow lunatics to find out how much this much mocked rock band became so beloved." So it's not just me. Something happened.
What a nightmare. Can you imagine that cruise? What a freaking nightmare.
I'm always intrigued. I love meeting people who are, liked a band once and just never gave up and still,
Cruises, first of all, I know because I was on one recently,
Yeah.
are kind of nightmares. Also,
so you think the Creed cruise would have been bad, hey?
Being on with a few thousand fans of a band.
And
Triple
just
nightmare.
Creed? There must have been other bands on this cruise, no? It seems maybe it was just a Creed thing.
They start playing at midnight on the first night, and then the cruise is 3 days long, and they just play the entire time. But it's like just their discography back to back, like
there's probably
times.
like Creed trivia nights. Probably show Creed videos in the movie theater.
It's a whole thing, yeah.
Probably have
dissect their
dinners.
lyrics, yeah. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
Probably have lectures.
a Creed
Every
lecture.
morning on the TV screens that go into your room, they probably like pipe in a lecture from a Creed historian like Lisa, just giving a talk.
You know what? I would love to go. Now that I think, like, I hate cruises, so I don't want this to happen on a cruise ship. But like, what if Rilo Kiley reunited at some point, and then we could all have like a resort weekend that's just Rilo Kiley, like super fans? I would be into that, I think.
Well, I mean...
You're talking we as in who?
We as in just the culture.
Okay. I see. Okay.
Well, as we know...
I don't presume the two of
there's
you
probably...
But like, would you go on a Gilmore Girls retreat cruise?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
would. That would be fun.
I think it would be really fun.
Yeah.
And I do want to go to like the Kellerman's Hotel for Dirty Dancing because I think that would be fun too.
I mean, because I was saying to you that one time I went to see that Real Housewives of New York cabaret performance.
Yeah.
The people were lovely that I was sitting with. I mean, they were just, weirdos with the same fascination, and it was great to be with them. I just felt like I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything, but I do know this. You love this garbage as much as I do, and it was very bonding.
It was your tribe, Lisa.
It was. It was and that's how I guess the Creed people feel on this Good Ship Creed cruise here.
Honestly, I'm glad that they have each other. I'm glad they keep it confined to a cruise ship, and I'm glad they just like took to the sea. That's wonderful. I want no part of it at all,
But I'm here for the Emily Gilmore reevaluation.
I am very excited. I think that we
signed up.
Well, like obviously Kelly Bishop is amazing and just like fantastic, and I can't wait to read it. I think it'll be wonderful. And I do think Emily Gilmore as a character is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
formidable.
I love that character.
For me, I think as I rewatch it as I grow older, before I used to just think like Lorelai was really the person I identified with or whatever. But as I watch it as I get older and more, I find her and Rory, I find them to be really selfish and kind of mean and more as the years go by. And I think that naturally makes you think Emily's had kind of like a rough ride in the beginning from fans because she was like the natural enemy of those two. But now when you watch it, like as you get older, you're like, she's just a mom, Well,
I mean, but I don't know. Like I always go back to like Emily Gilmore, again, a character I love and who's very interesting and I think has lots of different layers and has lots of kindness in her, is also incredibly cruel, racist, and elitist. And I find those three characteristics to be unrepentantly awful and like almost irredeemable. But I understand that like Lorelai and Rory's behaviors have definitely like the charm has waned.
Yeah.
Over the last 20 years, for sure. I just think like, I mean, they also are like, they're incredibly like anti-fat. Like they're just like, they've got lots of issues too. They're just not like that sort of like overt moneyed thing that apparently just because you can buy labor from people, and treat them like you own them. That is an intense character flaw in that woman, I gotta say. And it's hard to.
But that's like a person. That's a real person who exists in the world, for sure.
I agreed. I'm just saying, I've never hated Emily Gilmore at all. These are the things that sort of make me say, well, I'm not going to say she's a better mom, but I think you can see that they are trying to be the moms they each wish they had.
Ah, good point. But when you say that, could you just say anything about her?
Oh, look at you. Coming in with a segue.
How long were you waiting to do that?
Well, you just kept saying stay, so I tried real hard there.
But truly, like that's a parent-child relationship that is absolutely on par with Lorelai and Rory. Mm-hmm. So this is a excellent segues all around.
Excellent.
Friends. This is great job. Great job. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And we are, if you guessed right, or just looked at the title of the episode, we are talking about Say Anything. I've never seen this film. 35th anniversary. I've lived 35 years in this world and never seen this movie.
Why do you think that is?
I think it wasn't on TV all the time the way a lot of other teenage movies were. Like Can't Buy Me Love, I've seen 1,000 times. Like all these other movies that sort of, or even Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like 16 Candles, like there's tons of other movies that I think I saw on TV all the time. And watching this now, I understand why it wouldn't have hit at all when I was like 14, but why it hits really well at 45. Like I think I could have watched it at like 25 and appreciated it. I don't think as a teenager I would have really appreciated it to the same extent at all.
Yeah, I think you appreciate it in different ways as a teenager and as an adult, for sure. I noticed
Did
that.
you see it when it first came out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were a teenager when this came out.
Yes.
And I remember seeing it too, but in the 20s. And I remember being very charmed by it, but also at the same time, and this still sticks, it's a super odd film. Like, it is so peculiar.
It is.
And I love that about it more now than ever before. No?
Yeah, there's nothing formulaic about this, I gotta say.
No.
Even at the end, like, I'm not, like, I don't want to skip all the way to the end, but, like, just thinking about the end, and, like, it obviously sort of is, like, paying homage to, like, The Graduate, and I really loved it, but it's still its own film entirely, and a weird one at that, and I really appreciated that.
I also want to say, with
Yeah.
that 35-year pause, we can definitely see that Lloyd was correct about kickboxing. So that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that sport now, hey?
Teenage me at the time was probably thinking he was a total joke about kickboxing, but
Yeah.
look who's laughing now.
Look who's laughing now.
Cutting
Lloyd
edge,
Dobler.
man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. He really was at the forefront of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, recording himself while driving, and kickboxing.
Think about those three things when you think
Really,
about
truly.
Lloyd Dobler for a second.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, well, I'm curious, like, that AG. So, as a teenager, did you like this movie when it came out?
I think so. I think I thought it was pretty good. I only have vague memories of it. I don't think I fully understood how this movie operates on different levels and how many sub-stories that are going on. I kind of just saw it as the Lloyd and Diane story. Yeah, I remember thinking it was a pretty good movie when I was younger.
Maybe because it was called a rom-com. That might be why another one of the reasons I didn't watch it, because, like, I wasn't really into that for a very long time.
It's kind of
Yeah,
a
I just
stretch
think
of a
it just, like, it
rom-com.
No, I don't think it is.
Oh,
but
okay,
that's
yeah.
the thing. I don't actually think it is. But because it got described as such, maybe. is
Yeah,
one of the
I
reasons
go
didn't
with
actually,
teen
like, watch
comedy
it.
or teen drama-y, maybe. Yeah.
Definitely dramedy for sure. Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
interesting for the different cameos, like, or not even, like, Eric Stoltz in there, Jeremy Piven in there. I mean, kind of wild seeing them. I mean, I barely recognize Jeremy Piven.
Baby Piven.
Yeah.
Still rocking a hat.
I didn't catch it, but apparently China Phillips is there.
I
in
saw
there
her.
too.
She's what's his name's girlfriend. All the songs are written about. What's that guy? Joe.
Joe?
Joe's girlfriend. He
Joe?
arrives at the party with her
Oh.
in the kitchen, remember? And she's like, go do what you want. And he walks over. Remember? That was her.
Gotcha. I was excited about Pamela Adlon being in there, and that was a surprise. I love Lily Taylor.
Oh, yeah,
so
I
it's so
do,
nice
too.
to see her
Yeah.
in everything. Anyway, all right, we should do a background and a synopsis just in case people don't know stuff. AG, do you want to read a background?
Sure. Say Anything is a 1989 American teen romantic comedy drama film written and directed by Cameron Crowe in his feature directorial debut. It was not particularly successful on its release. John Cusack was an established star of films like The Sure Thing, but co-star Ione Skye was basically unknown, and director Cameron Crowe was, despite his writing credit on Fast Times at Ridgemont High 8 years earlier, not a known quantity. Despite rave reviews, it only took $20 million at the domestic box office and $733,000 internationally. In the UK, it went straight to video. Due in part to Cameron Crowe's subsequent success, the film grew in popularity after its release. In 2002, Entertainment Weekly ranked it as the greatest modern movie romance, and it was ranked number 11 on Entertainment Weekly's list of 50 best high school movies. And that is kind of a mashup from different places on the internet.
All very fair.
Yeah. I mean, wild to me that in 2002, EW called it greatest modern movie romance. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
They had just had Titanic 5 years earlier.
Well, but I'm going to go with them on that one. Yeah.
No, I'm fine with it, but I just think, like, if we really think about it, that's high praise.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. All right, Lisa, you want a synopsis? Us?
Sure. Lloyd Dobler, 19, is a young nonconformist whose dream in life is to be a kickboxer. Then, one day...
Okay, like, let's just stop that there.
Yeah.
Why Lloyd Dobler has lived on in the imaginations of moviegoers for 35 years, but essentially he can be boiled down to a young nonconformist whose dream in life is to be a kickboxer. Okay, continue.
Okay, honestly,
but
that's fair, though. He doesn't really...
That's totally fair. Like, the speech that he gives, like, about he doesn't want to sell anything and buy anything, blah, 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 blah. It's a great speech, I gotta say. I know I just blah, blah, blah'd it, but, like, this is the 1989 version, the epitome of a young nonconformist.
Yeah, it's, I guess also, I feel like there should be another word in there, like a gentle nonconformist, because usually when we think of that, you have some sort of rebel idea. It's very hard to, like, if you haven't seen the film, try to imagine what we're saying, because it's a very comforting, quiet nonconformist. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just one other thing. It's just that it's been written about like how Cameron Crowe made this movie in 1989 and in Seattle just before like the grunge explosion. And so like the idea of Lloyd Dobler being like the pre-grunge young man in Seattle at the time. And then Cameron Crowe goes on to make Singles as his next movie, which is like peak grunge era in Seattle.
Yeah. Amazing.
Like, all of this fits to me in a really fascinating way, because if you told me, like, before this movie, if you told me that we are repeatedly told that Lloyd Dobler is a good guy, and then I read this description that he's a kickboxer who's also a nonconformist, I'm thinking that the movie is going to just keep telling us he's a good guy, but the movie actually shows us he's a good guy for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated that. Anyway, it made me rethink my prejudices towards kickboxers.
Wow, okay.
Sorry, Lisa.
All right. Whose dream in life is to be a kickboxer. Then, one day, he finds a goal. Diane Court. I love that name so much. It's so tight and perfect. Diane Court.
It seems so 80s.
Yeah, there's a
80s name.
Not only is she lovely, she's brilliant, a biochemistry major who is the recipient of a prestigious fellowship to study in England. Out of his league? His friends think so. Diane's father thinks she's too good for him and will eventually wound him. But Diane thinks there's something singular about Lloyd. He is caring and solicitous, and a pure spirit who chooses to view almost anything in the most optimistic way. Then things change. Diane, who has always shared an extremely close, loving relationship with her adoring father, James Court, begins to see another side of him. As she begins questioning their relationship, she grows increasingly close to the ever-supportive Lloyd. While discovering her love for Lloyd, she painfully comes to learn that things are not always the way they seem, and people are not always what she thinks they are. Oh.
And that is from theuncool.com.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Thank you. I really do love this movie.
Well...
Yeah. No, I know. I
really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I still want to talk about it. I'm just saying, I really do love this movie.
I kind of don't.
Oh,
okay, great.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Let's do it. What do you hate? Tell me.
Well, look, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I think when we did Cameron Crowe a few weeks ago, when we did Elizabethtown, I kind of lumped it together in this category of
sad men.
The trail of manic pixie dream girls that led to Elizabethtown. But upon watching it again, like, I acknowledge that I was wrong about that. And it's a good movie. Like, the writing's good. The acting performances are really great. It's unexpected in a lot of areas. Like, it's not just a straight ahead rom-com as we've been talking about. And really, I thought about it after I watched it the second time and realized that the problem I have with this movie is the character of Lloyd Dobler. It's not the movie. It's Lloyd Dobler. I don't like how it ends. I don't like how, like, no one remembers the name Diane Court, even though Lisa thinks it's a terrific name. And she's this brilliant star who goes to, like, nobody remembers this character. This movie is all about Lloyd Dobler. Why? Also, at the end of the movie, I absolutely hate that he's going to England with, like, no plans and no plan of his own. And, like, he's not going for a job. He's not going for school. He's just going to hang out with her while she's doing a really serious scholarship. And to me, that is a recipe for disaster. And I think she will soon realize that he is a complete drag on her, and they break up like 3 weeks after they arrive in England, which is fine. I don't like Lloyd Dobler. I think the movie is great, but I just don't like the character of Lloyd Dobler.
Fascinating. I agree that this is not a relationship that's going to last. I know that this is headed for nothing. I like that the movie plays with that question at the end, and it tries to give a more optimistic ending than The Graduate, because that's like Lloyd Dobler's style. The reason I think that we know the name Lloyd Dobler is because literally at that party scene, they say it 15 times. Like, he is supposed to be kind of, in a weird way, a king among the partiers. He is like the good guy who is a year or two older than all the other kids graduating high school, because he's like this former army brat who's been like left behind by his parents with his older sister. And I agree that, like, for me, one of the grossest things in the world is to hear someone say something like over and over again, like, you're the only thing I care about. You're my only purpose. I have nothing else, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I find that extremely problematic,
especially for a girl. Like, it's this girl's first boyfriend saying this to her and being like, I'm moving with you to a different country. I'm like, you're not forgetting me. You're not leaving me behind. You can't start a new life without me. I'm stuck to you like glue. And because you went through all this trauma with your father, I recognize that. And I'm going to be there being your support and comfort. And I'm just going to slide in there. And we are going to be moving together now. We live together. We're like cohabitants.
Well, so this is where I will say, like, one of the things that I kind of like about this and why I'm not vehemently anti Lloyd Dobler is because even though he, I think on some level is like just slightly delusional, he's delusional in a really like functional way, and that he has a bit of a vision of certain things. And so like when he's doing this thing where he only has like his best friends are these two women, and he sort of talks about things in life with them and stuff like that. And like they have, it seems, terrible taste in men and stuff. And so he's sort of grounded in this way. Then when he gets broken, like she breaks his heart, he goes to the guys and he does the survey of all the guys, and they're trash. And he's like, well, you guys are all trash. But then when he goes to the prison and he talks to like the dad, I was extremely moved by like the element of conversation where he's like tells him, asks him like, did she send the version that says like, I'll always love you or whatever? And the dad's like, no, and reads what she actually sent. And I was very moved by that whole sequence. And when he says like, are you just choosing me because you're alone, or are you choosing me because you love me? And then he's like, it doesn't matter. Like I don't think he's going to derail her future, because I think she's strong enough to like figure that out. I kind of enjoy this. Like, he's actually like a proto manic pixie dream girl but like just a gender flip. He is there to make her story go forward. And it's kind of interesting to me.
Wow, I hadn't quite thought of that. When I'm watching it, I know all of these elements that you're talking about. Like, they're all worth discussing, but I still get rather obsessed when I watch this again with the weird elements of the job that this father had at this home, and that she worked there, and it was so odd. And then he would have people over for dinner. Who were those people at that dinner party? That Wurlitzer, and the investigation going on. And it was just a very peculiar movie. It had like weird rhythms to it. We weren't just, in this relationship they were having. We were involved in this very odd other, like, a dismal apartment that he lived in with his sister and her little boy, and he seemed very sad and lonely. And then, you sort of, in a weird way, contrast that with the sad and lonely people in this seniors home. I don't know if I was meant to be thinking of it that way, but that, and when he puts Cocoon on for them, and I just thought that was pretty funny too. So there were just these weird notes in the film that the performance of her father, John Mahoney, am I saying?
Mahoney.
He played it in such an odd way. He was so kind of, back to our Gilmore Girls conversation, there was something very codependent with this man, and in a really grim way. Like, it was very, and so I don't know, you're right to suggest that perhaps she's just found someone else to be codependent with, because that's what she does. But yeah, I felt like the elements of this movie were so strange. I was just trying to imagine, like, why is he a kickboxer? Why is it a senior's home? Why are we going to spend so much time in the senior's home too?
Yeah. Well, one of the things when I was researching this movie, this writer named Eddie Moradian from Awards Watch wrote about how in some ways it seems like a romantic comedy between a father and a daughter. Like, if you didn't know, he actually wrote, if you were an alien dropped onto this earth and given this movie to watch with no concept of normal human relationships, you would think it was a love triangle between Lloyd, Diane, and Diane's father.
Yeah.
I think that was a kind of clever thing. I have to imagine that there's like so many variations of this script that existed before they filmed this one, and I don't know what got cut. But like, Lloyd, his parents have like a little bit abandoned him. I mean, I don't know if you can abandon a 19-year-old, but like, I think you can, especially when he's still finishing high school. And he's obviously been through like a lot. That Diane's mother is
piece of work.
But like, when she describes having to like choose between her parents in court and stuff like that, like, these are both kids who are honestly quite alone and have been asked to function as adults. And I think the 80s was a real time of the nuclear family sort of blowing up everywhere. And so this movie sort of reflects on that a little bit of like, well, these two are already sort of like wiser than their years. They are grown up. Like, she didn't have a high school experience really because she was taking college courses, and she's like a genius. And like, and her dad, I don't think her dad works in the home. I think he runs the home and owns the home. Yeah. And he has been like, that's how he's been scamming everyone for so long, and has like been basically like, I mean, he's a thief. Right? Yeah. Like, he's a thief. And I think like his compartmentalization has been like, I'm giving my daughter the best possible life. You hear his justification of like, I'm taking care of these people. I hope someone takes care of me this well. And like, the money is like this sort of thing that he tries to trick himself into thinking he kind of like, he's not hurting anyone because he's like getting it from the government, or he's like scamming like healthcare or whatever, like whoever it is that he's like really taking the money from. But like, when we get to the point where he knows that everything is about to collapse under him, and John Mahoney's performance in the bathtub. Again, I know it's a weird scene, but it's devastating. Like, watching him be in the bathtub and just know that everything is coming down around him. And I don't know how realistic that is necessarily for like that kind of character who is able to kind of be like he's got a bit of a personality disorder, that he can like build this very sort of like attentive, loving relationship to his daughter, and also do all of this other stuff to other people and not think other people are human. But like, of course, like, she ends up being the subject of yet another man's obsession with her in Lloyd Dobler. Like, Lloyd is her dad, but like, hopefully a better version of her dad. Fingers crossed. Yeah, there's a lot of bleak energy around all the like love and humor too.
Well, Elizabeth Nelson wrote a really good article about Say Anything being like the perfect movie in The Ringer. And she wrote that Lloyd and Jim are the same in the most crucial manner possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a letter to Elizabeth Nelson. Sorry.
All of their hopes and aspirations run directly through Diane. Their worldviews may be competing, but their end game is identical. As she prepares to depart for England, both see themselves on a planet that deserves to orbit closest to her. In their zeal, neither bothers to grasp the acute hurt being forced to choose between them causes her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, but that's a little bit unfair in that situation. In that, yes, I hear that comparison of the two of them, but definitely Diane's, thing to do now is to become a young woman, is to fall in love, is to have another relationship that isn't her father. Like, that's a natural progression. Ideally, right? So, I mean, rather than the father, his job is to, I did my job, bye-bye, have, I hope you check in, have a good life. I mean, that's his job.
I don't know. I don't think she's forced to choose between them.
Yeah,
really,
she's like, I shouldn't see you. I only have 6 weeks left, and my dad needs me. And
no, but I'm saying like when she gets to the point where she decides to like basically like convince her father to turn himself in. So when they have their little faux breakup, like I don't know, that didn't really hit for me. I was just like, okay, this is a plot contrivance of the film or whatever, and that didn't mean very much for me. But like what I think it needed to do is set up the thing where she could be able to sort of like face up to what her father was doing and then be able to sort of convince him that he has to turn himself in.
I feel as though if Diane had left for England on her own and left on good terms with Lloyd and sort of forgave her father, I would have liked this movie a lot more.
do you think she should have forgave him?
Maybe not. I feel like I just feel like she needed to take a clean break, move to England on her own, start a new life.
I mean, I think that would have been cool. I think like that's not what the movie is sort of setting up at all, because unfortunately, as we've discussed with other Cameron Crowe movies, even though I think this is one of his most successful films in creating women characters that have nuance and depth, it's very much just like Lloyd Dobler's film,
it's a teen.
right?
He's a teenager
So, like,
too, right? I mean,
but like he's there to like talk her through every step of her fear about airplanes.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he is sort of.
We can't be endeared by that. I thought it was quite sweet.
Oh, I thought it was sweet too. I'm not like that's the thing. I actually find elements of this quite sweet, and I find elements of his behavior quite sweet as well. I think like that part of like her and him grabbing onto each other and grasping onto each other as like sort of this like desperate thing where they kind of realize that their parents have let them down in these significant ways, but that they have found each other and that they feel like they can have some kind of trust with each other. I think that's lovely. I still don't think it's going to last, but like I like the thing on the airplane where they're waiting for the ding and she's saying like, everyone thinks we're crazy. And like, honestly, no one has actually said anyone thinks they're crazy because they don't have people in their lives that like.
Well, I mean,
really?
they kept at the beginning. There's his friends are like, she's out of your league. What are you bothering for? At the party, everyone's giving him a like, wow, you got her? Like, there's a lot of that.
No, I know. But like, it's been 3 months basically since then, right? Like, or 2 months at least. Because like they've done this thing for a while now.
Okay. I just want to make a note. This is very important. Write this down. That never once on this podcast have either of you ever thought a couple should stay together in any movie we have ever seen. Every single, and we do a lot of romance here. You always end
Lisa,
with, well, she shouldn't be with him.
Wait, Lisa, if your daughter was fresh out of high school, moving to England to start a new career, new job, go to college, would you be happy if she was moving with her high school first boyfriend tagging along that had no purpose to go? He just wanted to hang out with her? And she was like, was she going to support him when they got there?
Okay,
somehow?
well,
like, because he was just hanging out. Would you be happy about that?
Okay, contrary, like, I'll just say this because I don't know if I've ever said this. I married my high school boyfriend.
Ah.
Now, we all know I'm divorced. But I'm just saying.
This is so you specifically understand that it might not go work out.
Well,
but you still have a lot of hope about it.
I don't.
Which is nice.
I don't.
That's beautiful.
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean it.
Oh, sorry.
No,
okay.
what I mean is that even if a relationship comes apart eventually, it doesn't mean it didn't work out at some point, or didn't have value at a certain point, or give lots of joy, or produce other things.
No,
right?
I mean, I feel as though like, yeah, their high school relationships potentially can work out or, last for a certain amount of time or be fine. But, like that usually happens when the two people are continuing to live in the area that they grew up in together, and they don't, like, when one person wants to leave to go somewhere to a different country or a different continent, that kind of indicates that they want something fresh, something new. They want a different life.
Well, okay, but that said, in this story, a lot of that fellowship was the father, what he wanted.
That's the thing, because like she gets the fellowship and she gets asked out by Lloyd on the same day. And I think there's a world in which like we're supposed to think like that's what she's choosing between. And like she doesn't make that decision. But she knows that she wants to go do this fellowship. He has experience in England or something, he says, because he spent time there as like an army brat. So like we don't like, and I don't know if kickboxing is huge in England, so I don't know if he was successful in that like enterprise or not. But like I just think like he's going at this point because he doesn't have anything better to do. I'm not personally distressed or worried that he is going to distract her from like her goals, because I don't know that she's had a lot of opportunity to really truly figure out and ask herself what she wants, because she was living her dad's dream for a long time.
This
so,
is, yes, I agree with that.
This fellowship.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that they have to stay together or anything. I just wanted to suggest that the two of you are very anti-love. That's all I wanted to say.
But like, I really don't think I'm anti-love. I think I'm just like anti what we're told girls are supposed to want in movies a lot of times. You know, like we're often told that the best thing that you can get in a movie is a man who worships you. But like, that's useless. You need people who see you as equals. You need equality. You need a working relationship. You need a friendship. And like the things that we do get at like a little bit throughout this is like, unfortunately, he still has her on this pedestal, and that's gonna go bad. Like there's just no way. If you're on a pedestal forever, it's gonna go bad at some point. They are pointy, devious little things that like stick you in your craw at some point. But like, she's not afraid to like stand up to him, to tell him he's wrong and he's ageist, or he's like, you know, all these different things. Like, so I have a lot of faith in like her as like a character. Again, I think this is like a really pretty solid character that Cameron Crowe has given us, which I'm pleased about. But yeah, I just like it. I think lots of things can work for a certain amount of time. I just get so mad when movies reiterate over and over and over again that you, as a girl, are supposed to want someone who worships you. It's flawed, and I think it adds to like a lot of flaws, and I think it like supports the patriarchy.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not. There's nothing there not to agree with. It just, it's just, you know, all we can do when we watch a movie, and this hard, is take the story for the value of which it is presented to us. But it's hard because you project all your own feelings of what women should or shouldn't do, men should or shouldn't do. Will kickboxing be popular in England? I don't know. I never looked that up. Maybe.
I never looked it up.
You know,
either.
maybe And Say Anything, Still Saying Anything, the sequel. Can you
imagine? He's a professional kickboxer.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, I guess he'd be retired by now.
Maybe he figures out
kickboxer.
He becomes a coach and he brings actually kickboxing to England. He's a star, you know, and maybe and she becomes some great academic, and they're this wild couple that write books on make sure you find someone completely opposite from you, because that's the secret to a successful relationship. I don't know, but all I can say is
that is so far-fetched, Lisa.
Is it?
Sorry, I just can't. Pushing me too far.
I'm just saying that all we have is the story of these two people that were very afraid and lost and didn't know what they were going to do. They found each other. They're taking care of each other. They're helping each other not feel so alone in the world. And you two think that's bad. But okay, what?
Yeah. Again, these blanket statements of you two think that's bad. I'm going to give a little pushback there. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's not. I don't think this relationship's going to last.
Okay.
Me neither.
I would love to get to a film at some point where I'm like, you know what? This relationship's going to. You know what? When we saw Romancing the Stone, I thought, these two kids might work it out.
Did you?
I had no questions about that. I was like, yeah,
okay.
these two could work it out. They have a really fiery chemistry, and they seem to actually think each other is a person of, they seem to be equals. There's so few films where anybody cares about what actually makes partnerships work.
So you guys must have been
like,
so excited when I suggested The Way We Were, because it came out exactly the way you thought it should.
Well, that movie made sense the way it ended.
It did, come to think of it.
1,000%. That movie absolutely made sense the way it ended.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You just nailed what I like about that movie.
No, I agree with you. I can't not agree with you. I mean, it would not.
Yeah,
it was not going to be, that wasn't going to work. I mean, we knew, but.
So, do you think, I'm not off base, thinking that he's doing a callback to, The Graduate in that last scene, right?
Well, except for that he wasn't having sex with her mother, but, yeah.
No, but, in terms of, so at the end of The Graduate, they're both, they're both terrified. These two are, a little bit scared, but they're in it together. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like that's the sort of twist is, look, I'm not saying she was having sex with her father, but the father was the other point in the triangle, as was the mother the other point in the triangle.
Yeah.
That movie wanted to be about something different than what this movie wanted to be about. But I just feel like there's an overlap for sure.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I saw a few people mention it in their reviews of the movie as well.
Interesting. I tried not to read anything about this because if I don't have to do the outline, I want to kind of go in a little bit more cold, But
I knew what I'd seen it, so I knew what happened and everything. So
yeah. My question, after we saw Elizabethtown, how did what happened to Cameron Crowe? How did he go from this in 1989 to Elizabethtown in 2005?
Isn't it usually a money thing? I usually find, with rare exceptions,
it's just fame and money.
Yeah,
okay.
Here's some extra money for you, so you go bigger. But I also have we done singles? Did we do singles?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
singles.
okay. Thought so. But I mean, I also think that's pretty solid too, and I thought the relationships in that work out there are very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think Elizabethtown is weird as well. There's stuff you're just what is happening here? In all the ways, but it feels so much more painfully self-congratulatory about what he thinks its weirdnesses are, and it's never successful, and it feels so inauthentic. Whereas Say Anything felt quite real to me in a lot of places.
Yeah, no, I mean that character, that Diane Court. Again, I love that name so much.
Do you think he got it from, he was watching the Thursday night lineup on NBC and he was like, I love Diane from Cheers and I love Night Court.
Oh,
they're back to back.
Wow.
Diane Court.
I like that idea.
Entirely possible.
Entirely. But that character he created, Ione Scott, and also the way she played it I just loved her. I loved her. I felt her shyness at the party and who she was, but she spoke up for herself. She was very complex and interesting and sweet and she just was all these things. And then I'm like, how did then get Penny Lane happen?
Honestly, I agree with you completely. I think Penny Lane as a character is fine, and Kate Hudson plays her with a compelling charm and winning sort of nature. But Diane Court, when she is describing to her father about and she's talking about how they just had sex, and she's like, I told him no, I'm just not ready and this isn't right for us, whatever. And then I attacked him.
I know.
I laughed
exactly
so hard and so loud. And I was just like, yeah, Diane, get it,
right?
Girl. That's great. I'm so happy for her. And I actually thought aspects of that father-daughter relationship were really wonderful, and those elements sort of didn't really bother me. It was that feeling of that sort of manipulation where, the presence and the other things, and just the feeling he was trying to buy her when he didn't have to work that hard because she already was so devoted to him, and I could live inside that particular element of this story for so long. I just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, back to what Eddie Maradian wrote in Awards Watch, he kind of is like, they are functionally operating as a long-term husband and wife for most of the film. The father and the daughter characters.
Yeah.
Yep. Very unsettling.
Yeah.
Very unsettling.
Yeah. I never got anything like sexually creepy though.
No.
Like there were no vibes like that for me.
No, I agree with that.
It was more just like a partnership. But like, again, she's not on equal footing here because he has like this pretty devastating secret.
Yeah. It was like the end of Fargo where Margie had gone out with that friend from university, and he lied to her about having a wife and who died of leukemia. And it was the first sort of moment where Margie had to confront that people lie. Remember? She was just really like it just couldn't. Oh, and it's the same. I felt the same sort of feeling when I was watching this. Like for this poor daughter, just what? Why? Why would you be like? Why of all things to do? Why would you do this?
Yeah.
You know that.
I mean, because like if he truly believed in her, then like, you know, he believes she's going to win this scholarship to further her education or somehow find a way to do it otherwise. And you should believe that after that, she'll be, you know, a person who will be independent and successful. And he wouldn't have to save money for her to support her in her new life.
No, but that's the thing. She's just an excuse for like what he wants. And that's like, he wanted to scam those people. Mm-hmm. He wanted to not see them as real. Like she's the excuse for his behavior to do that. And that's the really hard part. I think that they actually do nail pretty well is like when she's having to have that conversation with the Fed or whatever, who's ever's doing the
Oh, yeah.
Just like, look, like, I'm sorry, but like you don't know him. And she doesn't know that piece of him. Like he has kept that extremely secret. It's very, again, that personality disorder thing that's happening there. And that ability for deception. It's devastating to watch. I don't think it means that he's not capable of loving his daughter at all. But I think it's hard to know what to trust after that.
Yeah.
Like she's never going to think like for sure he's who he says he is because he's not.
Yeah.
And it's just, what do you do with that information? Honestly, get thee to England.
Yeah, there you go.
Go.
There you go.
Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy England.
But he's only in there for 9 months. Like, oh my God, did you guys find it very funny and bleak how they just like decide the sentencing over a bag of chips?
Well,
I feel like that's probably accurate.
Felt very accurate.
And that's the thing. It feels real.
Yeah.
It's horrible because it feels real.
Yeah. I know.
Just a couple of dudes eating chips.
Deciding
what's fair for everybody.
He's defrauded people for 20 years and it's going to be a fine and 9 months in jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, boy. Yeah. Well, does say anything.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. It still pops. Yep.
Sure.
Oh,
I give it
wow.
a week pop. I don't hate it, but I'm not going to watch it again for another
35 years.
Never 35 years?
Yeah.
It pops for me, and again, I'm coming to it extremely fresh. I'd never seen it before. Because all I had known from it were its pop culture sort of like call outs and stuff. Like I knew about the speech kind of, and I knew about him holding I thought the whole boombox thing was way bigger. I had no idea it was such a small
and then she didn't even turn around.
Scene.
Yeah.
No. And like I am very appreciative at this point that it was such a small nothing scene. How it became so huge speaks to a lot of other things in the world.
And think about like the behavior it inspired amongst millions, probably.
Even though if you watch it, it doesn't work. Yeah. It fails. Yeah.
It's it's fascinating to me. I had no idea that all along this was going to be a family drama where then two kids who just graduate high school fall in love.
Yep.
I had no idea.
There you go.
No clue.
But yeah, big pops for me. Yeah, still.
Well, we like to leave our episodes on something we each recommend just like full bodily. Like, just a full body recommendation. So AG,
Well, sometimes
since it had the weakest pops, I want you to say what you
Well,
actually
I'm
like.
saying
are into.
sometimes Lisa comes with something that she doesn't full body pop. It's just something that she watched on TV.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes you have a week of not so big pops. I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Can't
fair
fake
enough.
it.
I just I think once if you haven't thought that the show or the whatever we just talked about popped, it's sort of often nice to come with something you actually believe in. So that's why I want to go to AG first because
Well, I'm recommending a book. It's not a new book. I think it came out 10 years ago, but it's called If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. He's a Japanese author, and it's about this guy who's a mailman who finds out he's going to die soon, he has a terminal illness, and the devil comes to see him, and he makes a deal that if he deletes, for everything he deletes from the world, he gets one more day of life.
wow.
Yeah. It's a really thought-provoking book and really well written, and it's translated from Japanese. Yeah, very good. If Cats Disappeared from the World.
Cool. That sounds very cool. I've never read it, but I've heard about it. I'm excited. Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, so recommending a film that I'm got a chance to see a screener of this week called Diener 89.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is for fans of Fubar, the parts. So it's a bit complicated here. So we fell in love on Fubar with Terry and Dean. Terry and Dean are no longer a comedy couple or duo anymore. And so they both sort of have, I guess they own their kind of characters, though, even though it's not part of that world. So the actor, Paul Spence, has Dean Murdoch, and, the burnout guy from Fubar. And so this is the backstory of what created Dean Murdoch. So I saw the trailer. I was very excited because, 89, he's introduced to metal. It's very funny. But I saw the film, and the story that Paul Spence wrote very much reflects his own life journey in that in the story he is adopted, and so is his sister, and he finds out that he's Métis. And so the story becomes this journey of trying to figure out who he is and where he belongs. And I was just totally surprised. It was still funny, of course, but it was very, very touching as well.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
When's it going to be released?
September 6th.
On streaming?
No theaters.
Theaters.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So as you're listening to this, you can also go see it in a theater.
Yeah. Diener 89. Highly recommended.
Nice. And I'm going to recommend new music from friend of the podcast, our friend Rose.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. She, her band, the Softies, they have reunited and put out their first record in 24 years. It's called The Bed I Made. It's so good, you guys. I love it so much. I love Rose and Jen so much. I'm just so happy for them. And I just want everyone to love this record and sort of appreciate sort of soft, complicated songs.
If you look behind me on my screen,
There it
I have
is.
the vinyl album resting on my record player.
Oh,
That's
it's so
awesome.
great.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. The album launch was great. Go listen to it. The Bed I Made, and just be prepared to weep gently and have a nice time.
Well, there is also a Rolling Stone article that came out this week that
Sure is.
talks about how Rose Melberg invented the sad girl, and that is true. That is
Wow.
true.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, it's a big time. And she's been on the podcast before, and we love her, and I'm so excited for her.
All things yes.
Yay! Yay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. You can hang out with us on the socials, and you could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. And you could, if you'd like, rate and review us 5 stars, please.
Tell us who you think is the better manic pixie dream girl of our team.
or who is the Lloyd Dobler of our team?
Oh my God.
Hopefully not. I'm the dad, but I hope.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We have to decide which one of us is the dad, which one of us is Diane, which one of us is
No, don't do it.
What
Don't
a nightmare.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Let's not have the podcast break up over
No,
this.
no,
That's too much. Yeah.
And thank you to Andrea Gin, our co-host and producer, who is not the dad. No, not the dad. No.
No one's the dad.
No, but I'm also not smart like Diane Court. So
That's true.
yeah. So
Where is that? Well, I'm speaking for. No, sorry, I'm speaking for both us collectively. Where does that leave us?
I feel
none of
I'm
us are
likely
like,
Lloyd Doyle. I feel likely
none
I'm
of
Lloyd.
us are winning scholarships to go overseas.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, we might not have direct correlations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Or no, we're the Lily Taylor character.
Yeah,
that's right.
Honestly, kind of.
Yeah, I've got 400 songs
Yeah.
about Joe, and I'm gonna go do them right now. So.
Excellent.
But you're also not gonna just get back together with Joe because he's a jerk, and you're
Right?
just gonna leave town and have a great time.
Exactly. Well called.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.